Mhm.
All right, let's see who's joining.
Mhm.
Morning, Thomas.
Morning. Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
Harry, nice to meet you. How are you doing today?
Thank you, Francis. Nice to meet everyone. Thank you. Good morning.
Hi, Sharon.
Hello, how are you all?
Good. And Miguel, I don't think I said hello yet.
Hello, hello, Francis.
Hello.
Dr. Thomas, how is your movie going?
We're still working on it. We're waiting for Stevie to give us the okay.
Ed,
Mhm.
Shabnan, good morning.
Good morning.
Charlie, Christophe, welcome.
Hello, hello.
Mhm.
Good morning, Francis.
That Mark,
Hello, Mary.
did I not say hello to Mark? That will be bad.
No, I thought it was deliberate, but don't worry.
Right. Bill, good morning.
Good morning, Francis, and everyone else.
Yes, good morning.
What was the saying in uh, the movie where the guy is, unbeknownst to him, followed the entire day? He's a reality show, but he's the my memories going out the door. But
Yeah.
he starts every day by saying good morning, and in
The
case
Truman Show.
they don't see you, yeah, exactly. The Truman Show. If I in case I don't see you, good evening, good afternoon, and good evening, covering his bases. Thank you, Bill. You're my second brain then, officially.
Ah.
All right, so let's get this started. And I'm gonna start by I believe, Harry, this is your first time in this group, right?
Yes, that is.
Do you mind introducing yourself?
Sure. I'm Harry Murray. I have a construction project management background and a doctorate in business administration with strategic leadership. And I'm very interested in the tool because I believe that the first step in every kind of project management and team collaboration is to have a common vision and common strategy. So I'd love to be part of this team as we are initiating a lot of digital PMO and BI to AI kind of initiatives in our industries. And I look forward to collaborating with everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else that is new that I not noticed? I don't think so. All right. So AI news. Mark, you want to start with the cyber aspect, fear
Well,
mongering.
it's not fear-mongering. It's actually kind of a tipping point in AI and cybersecurity this week with the with Anthropic's new initiative, which I don't know if everyone else has seen it as well, but it's called Glasswing. And the history is brief history is that they figured that their new Claude version called Mythos was too dangerous to put out in the marketplace. So instead of that, they've created this initiative called Glasswing, where there are a lot of the principal companies are being used to test it out. and it's already produced some pretty amazing results. And there's a number of people who agree with this, and particularly, if people don't know who John Kinderback is, about 2 weeks ago, he said AI hasn't changed cybersecurity; it's exposed years of neglect of the fundamentals. And then comes Glasswing, which is actually demonstrating some of these facts. It's discovering 20-year-old faults in things like Linux operating systems and which have been patched in the last few days, and many other things as well. And so this is kind of a breakthrough where AI is actually, you know, really fixing problems from the past, and will be very interesting to see how this works. I'm an advocate of a program called Security Now, and just it began 20 years ago. This week is episode 1074, and it's all about why this is such a big deal and such a breakthrough. And if anybody wants to find out about it, I can put a link to. It's actually called twit.tv, which stands for This Week in Tech. It's got many programs. The most popular one is Security Now, and there's about 40,000 people follow this program, run by Steve Gibson and Leo Laporte. Does anybody know about Twit TV? You can raise your real hand if you do. If you don't, you missed out. It's an amazing program. It's about 2 or 3 hours long every Tuesday at about 1:30 Pacific time, and it's a very interesting discussion, and it really agrees that this is really a big tipping point for cybersecurity. Also previews the upcoming AI conference in San Francisco. So for me, that's the big deal, is what's going on with my thoughts. And I know, Francis, you just think it's all marketing, but I don't. I really disagree with that. Having watched the principle of Anthropic for quite some time. I think he's got great integrity, and he's very good at marketing. I won't deny that, and it's created a big hype in the marketplace too, with people who are inside this Glasswing fence, and the companies are Amazon, Anthropic, Apple, Broadcom, Cisco, CrowdStrike, Google, JP Morgan Chase, Linux Foundation, Microsoft, NVIDIA, and Palo Alto Networks. And they're all the companies who are actually testing out their own software, looking for potential vulnerabilities in it. So I've talked a lot about this particular issue, but I think it's a really big deal for both AI and cybersecurity, because I think it's a way in which software companies can actually really strengthen their offerings and reduce vulnerabilities against AI threat actors. So that's kind of my main news, and there are other things as well, but I think I just want to stop with that.
All right. And everyone who's interested to delve deeper into those topics, Mark has a well-curated blog that is available. Mark, will you put the links to the resources that you mentioned and
I will
in the
do.
chat?
I'll put them during the chat. Yeah, and it's the SDS card, and it's also breaking news on my website, and I'll put the link to Security Now. The program hasn't actually aired yet. It airs tomorrow, and the public version of it will be available probably Wednesday or Thursday. But I'll put all those links in the chat. And if you're interested in anything to do with security and many other many other topics in the world of tech and PCs, then This Week in Tech is a great resource. It's been going for many years.
Thank you. I will just briefly mention there were a few more announcements that I saw this week. So, Shabnan, you might be interested in, I don't know if you've seen Meta Muse Spark. So it seems to be focused on health bench or health issues. So I'm not sure. I've not looked into that. And there's also Google has released VEO3 for video creation. So again, like if does anyone that looked at
Yeah,
any of these?
there is. This is not a security issue. This is an AI issue. That has anyone noticed the new Claude managed agent software, which allows you to build your own uh, chatbot or agent software in a fraction of the time previously. So if you've got software and you want to replace your help system with a chatbot, I haven't tried it yet, but I kind of gone through it. It's Claude. It's not free, but it's pretty low cost, and I'm definitely going to do put that into my software to replace the kind of boring help system. And it's called Claude Managed Agent. And if you log in, if you open up a Claude account, if you got them, you'll see it on it. It's kind of labeled as new on the left-hand side of the screen.
All right. So I switched things around a little bit, but thank you, Mark, for those news. Anyone has anything that they want to briefly share with the group about what's happening in their life, professional or otherwise? What cool stuff you're working on? Anyone? Anything?
Francis, I'll share something in the education realm. Some of you know that I started what's called Boomer AI for our grandkids, and we meet every Sunday night. And each week I give them 6 slides in a PowerPoint. The last slide is an assignments for the week. And in this week's news, we're starting to see the schools pick up on the importance of AI and AI training. And many of you have used Notebook LM. All of our grandkids are using it extensively and building PowerPoint presentations from that. But it was good to see in the news that schools are starting to pick it up, and the oldest one is in college. And he says some of the better professors now are developing agents to explain the coursework to the students, where you can actually deal with an agent rather than just uh, the large language model to ask your questions. So I just wanted to bring that up to everyone that I found that very rewarding. And Claude Cowork actually produces the 6 slides and goes out and does the research every Sunday at noon. So by 7 o'clock, I've got my presentation to give to the grandkids, and anybody that wants to see that, I'll be willing to share one of those. And it's pretty rewarding to see the young kids take to it and really embrace it.
That's
If
awesome,
you can
Gary.
share a link of a presentation, if you can put it, I would love to.
I'll make sure I get that this week's PowerPoint to Francis. I'm kind of set up for the demo, and you know how demos
Yeah.
go. You don't want any more screens open than you need.
No,
Okay.
that's fine. Send it to me after the call, and I'll make sure to put it into the summary for today's call. Rick.
Yeah, I'll be brief. I just want to give an applaud to Gary for thinking about intergenerational learning. I have a friend of mine who actually is heavily into AI and has gone into the school to update uh, how they can use AI more effectively for the teachers and students. So I'd love to learn more. But I just want to give a quick announcement and a link. I compose compound philosophical questions, which are designed to make you stop and think and disrupt our fast thinking emotion reactivity, which disables us from solving wicked problems. I'm going to put a question there, which I'm not going to read. You can read later and try and understand what it means, because that's the whole process of it. And I also created a song for a conference that I couldn't go to. And I'll put a link into the chat for those who would like to hear how you can use Suno to make some very interesting songs for different purposes. I'm Rick, and I'm done speaking.
Thank you. Stephen.
It was just some interesting news last week that Google was reporting inaccuracies of anywhere between 15% or less. But it's this idea that the information that's being served up is considered good if it's 80, 90% accurate. And that means that we need to be diligent in looking at what we're receiving and checking it and testing all of that. And there was another interesting study that came out as far as the education, and I know that everything needs to be um, looked into a little bit deeper, but there was a study related to the white matter of the brain, which is the part that is the interconnective part between children 3 to 5 years old. And it showed that there was some sort of inverse correlation between the connectivity of the white matter of the brain and the amount of screen time. So with all that we're doing in education and everything else, I think that we need to really understand what does this mean as far as how we're learning and how it impacts the developing mind. So that's all I had to share.
All right, thank you. Brian, then David, and then we'll go into the main presentation, the breakout, sorry.
I was just going to reiterate. You're the first grandfather I've seen giving homework, so hats off. And one of the things that I've been doing, talking about Notebook LM, is I'm actually using in my courses right now. So I will take materials I use to build the course, and I upload it to Notebook LM, and then I make it available to the students so they can ask questions about the course, and that's really cool. And if you want to give it a shot. And the other thing I have is anybody wants it, I do a TED Talk on Friday about the one thing you should teach in the age of AI. And
Links,
if anybody
links in
wants
the chat, please.
if anybody wants to watch it, I have a bad recording of it now, and I'd love any feedback that anybody wants to give.
Please put the link on the chat. I'll make sure to pass it around. And David.
Hey everybody, this is David. I have also been working on education related things. So I am partnering with Ninja Science Academy, and I'm building an exponential education system for them by applying the technology and frameworks that I developed during my consulting contract with the attorney to rapidly building and launching summer courses within their academy. And additionally, I built and launched a music platform for my music. So I have a new single coming out on May 1st. And I did it so people can purchase listening passes for 10 listens before it's released publicly. And then I'm going to be building these systems for other music artists who want to manage and control their own music.
Thank you, David. Christoph and Corey, you're the last two. I said no, but I'm going to say yes to you. 1 minute each.
We'll keep it quick. Brian, is that your second or third TED Talk?
It's the second.
Second, congrats, man. Can't wait. Please send the demo. We'd love to listen to it. And Stephen, quick question for you. I assume what you said, the white matter, that the more they're exposed to screen, the less white matter. I just want to make sure I got it right. And if you can share that source.
I'll share the source. And it's always, we don't know the depth of the study or the population, et cetera. But what was specifically stated was the connectivity of the white matter.
Thank you. And David, please share your album. Always love to listen to your music. There's a style for everybody. You produce so much of it. Thank you.
Correct.
I just was going to continue on the whole education theme. I'm working with New Mexico State University to provide classes on AI. I'm working with 3 other groups in the city to provide classes with AI. And yesterday, using Claude Code, Whisper, Remotion, Microsoft Edge, it created an entire micro course all by itself in one day. Videos and all. Transcribed, subtitles, videos, everything. And all of those tools, except for Claude Cowork and Claude Code, is free.
Excellent. All right. I'm going to start the breakout momentarily. Rick, do you want to give instructions to everyone?
Well, people will do whatever they like, but the guidelines are try and identify something that's your cutting edge of learning. That's one thing in AI. And the second one is what do you want to take it to the next level for you? But you can talk about whatever you like. Thank you, Francis.
And also keep in mind this is the social breakout, so you'll be in group of 2 or 3 per room. If you end up feeling all alone in your room for whatever reason, come back to the main room. And the purpose is to create connections, introduce yourself if you don't know each other, and as Rick says, be sure to think about and discuss topics that you'd like to present or that you'd like others to present to the group. So I'm opening the rooms now. See you all in 10 minutes. And Miguel and Steve, potentially you joined after I created the breakouts. But you're free to stay here and introduce yourself to one another. Steve, I don't think I remember seeing you.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, so my name is Steve Gabamba. Um, I have a small business and tech consulting company here in Dayton, Ohio, and I equip mainly the senior living industry with AI automation tools.
And where are you based?
Dayton, Ohio. It's 45 minutes north of Cincinnati, Ohio.
We have Charlie from the group who's from Cincinnati.
Oh.
All right, so Miguel and Steve, I'm gonna walk away, but again, this is a social breakout, so it's just like introducing yourself and you'll see if there's anything interesting that can come up with your connection.
Thank you, Francis. Hi, Miguel.
Hi, how are you, Steve?
I'm doing fine. How are you doing?
Very good. And let me explain what I do. Actually, what I do is I have a business that is called Neuroskill. But what I'm doing is giving classes, English classes to Spanish speaking people using AI, basically. So they are learning how to use AI, learning English. That's basically what I do.
Oh,
Mainly
nice.
to companies, but I'm
Okay.
starting to do some special courses for drivers in the US.
Oh, so you can work anywhere in the
Yeah,
world?
everything is in Zoom, and we have different schedules, and yeah, basically that's it.
And where are you based?
I'm based in Mexico, in Monterrey, Mexico.
Monterrey. That's good.
Yeah.
And you said that you're giving the courses to drivers here. Is that commercial drivers?
Yes, like Greyhound drivers for buses.
Oh, Greyhound. Okay.
Okay, it's like this. But I given and to other companies, mainly in Mexico. But I'm starting to I'm going to start a campaign like in 1 month for all drivers in the US that they need um, to have a certain level of English if they want to continue driving, because there are a lot
Okay.
that they don't have the enough English required to drive.
Makes sense. And do you think that your system can handle other languages than Spanish?
Yes, but right now I'm only focusing in English, but yes. Yes, the system is how can I tell is yes, you can expand it with it, like for American people to learn Spanish or everything. The thing is that it's actual a real teacher. We use real teachers. So, and the main thing that we also are in partner like with Duolingo. So I monitor everything, how they use Duolingo, and this is like our base is Duolingo, and we have like classes for them uh, to achieve certain fluency of English and to learn all the like for the drivers to learn the signs and everything and also they start learning like in the case of the drivers that is one of main importance right now. They are learning AI. And there's also like some companies like Office Depot in Mexico that is another level. It's different, and also they are learning. The problem with companies right now is that having problems because some companies don't let their workers to use different AIs. No, they have to use like Copilot. They have a lot of restrictions of using AI, and I use several. So that's one of the problems. So I'm starting to change from giving to companies to giving to individuals for that main reason.
I was thinking because we have a non-profit, my wife and I,
Okay.
and it's called Ubuntu Pillars, and we have a language, an English as a second language program,
Oh, great.
and we serve mainly Kirundi, Kinyarwanda, Kiswahili speakers. Those are languages spoken in East Africa, in what is called the Great Lakes region. So basically, Rwanda, Burundi, and the east part of Congo.
Okay.
And
That could be interesting. Yes, I could have to check the languages, the base language that they are learning from, and maybe I can do something for
yes,
but
I'll
that.
be interested in seeing you how your system works because actually both are needs and you did great in combining language skills and AI skills because um, for someone who's not a native speaker or who's still learning English, if they have that skill, that extra skill, even for employability, they can be,
Yeah.
they can compensate the language skills that is not, at par with maybe other candidates with some additional AI skills that another candidate doesn't have.
Okay. It seems great. So maybe we can have a further discussion. I don't think that I can do it like with those languages, but what I can do is like prepare something to show. The main thing to learn a language, there are two main things. One is the engagement. They have to engage. They have to practice. To learn English is from Spanish is more or less you have to practice around 360 hours to have a good fluency of English. So it's mainly it's mainly a case of time of practice, And to achieve that, the person needs to be engaged. So that's the main thing, to engage the student. And the best way, the best easy advice that I can give you is that they use Duolingo. That's the main thing. And
Okay.
and if the teacher, just like a tip for you, and if the teacher are checking, because there's a way in Duolingo that you can check your student the progress, and if the teacher is give them feedback and be like encouraging them, that's the way it functions. Because what the students need to learn English is to have exposure. So as most exposure they will have, the better they will learn. If they go to the movies in English, one thing just as one thing that they don't have to do is to read. They don't have to read in English. The problem in reading is that if they read and they start to pronouncing bad the word, that's because they don't know the language. They will create a link in their head that is wrong, and it's going to be more difficult. So one thing is not reading alone. It's the way they need is like babies, like all the young guys. They hear uh, with the sound. You have to maybe you can read with sound, but not like reading a book. That's one of the tips.
Okay,
But
yeah,
you can
that's
have that.
important.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
That's important because I just realized that our approach is reading based. So
No,
we
that's
work from books.
completely bad. Yes, it's bad because suppose that you start reading a word wrong in your mind, and if you hear this word again, you will not know what it is. So that's a very and you create a link that then in the future you are going to have to change that link in your mind, and it's going to be more difficult. I don't know if it catches you. Okay, I'm sorry we are out of the.
I understand. I understand
Right.
what you. Yeah,
Steve and Miguel, I'm gonna have to interrupt you.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
sorry.
We're back in full session now. But it looks like you had a good conversation going. So please feel free to reconnect offline after the call. I mean, this group is all about making connections.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So Rick has something to say. What a
I'm
surprise.
going to be very brief. Harry and I met before, and I forgot we had. I didn't recognize him on screen. That's not the reason I'm speaking. I put Harry on the docket for a presentation in the future. He's willing to do it when he's ready, and he's willing to talk about developing communities of practice about using AI for sustainable development in data centers. Now, put your head around that one.
All right. So Harry is down for a presentation very soon, I'm hearing. Who else has something or someone that they want to present or at another event? Charlie.
Yeah, Francis. I met Brian Cassidy, and we talked about little mini classes, 10 minutes or less on various topics in project management.
Yep.
So he and I are going to connect offline to figure out how I can put that into the training curriculum of PMI Southwest Ohio. And who knows where that might go. Maybe there'd be others on this call that would be interested in connecting the dots between project management and artificial intelligence and training. Who knows?
And the tax for that is that you need to present it to this group when you're ready.
Okay. He's the author. I'm the mouthpiece.
All right.
I know the community.
very briefly, anyone else has anything that they want to share about their breakout?
Mm.
Otherwise, I am turning things over to our very own Gary.
Well, thank you. And I'll share my screen. Can you all see that now?
Yes. Oh, Gary, sorry to interrupt. Because Gary has presented quite a bit of content, and I'm sure it's going to spark even more discussions. We've decided to not do the usual deep dive breakouts at the end of the call. What we will do instead, I will open 2 or 3 breakout rooms right now. So if someone wants to either like have a side conversations or whatnot, you can go there. But they will essentially, we're just going to stay with Gary for the remainder of this call today. So go ahead, Gary.
Well, thank you, Francis. And I'll try to set this up. Can you all see my screen that has consulting, operations, and marketing? Okay, good. Well, I'm going to give you a little backstory so you understand, and there's no way we can cover all of this today. So we're specifically going to talk about the agentic workforce, what that is, and how we've developed it at Boomer Consulting. I'm the founder. The company started in 1996. Today, my role is dot connector, strategist, and visionary. So I have time to work on projects like this, and I've had a real interest. And many of you have been inspirational to me to start at the edge and work towards the center. We're 20 people with 2 or 3 outside contractors that work. Our clients are the larger accounting firms, generally 20 people and larger. And we have communities and have had communities since 1999. And those communities started as what was called the Boomer Technology Circles. And they meet twice a year, most of them here in Kansas City at a facility that we call the Accounting Innovation Center. And those 17 circles have 34 meetings, and then we have a conference each year in August where they all come together, and there'll be 750 people probably there this year. So my motivation behind this, and I should tell you that I did not even use Claude Cowork until 1 month ago. So that'll put it in perspective when you start to see some of the things that we have developed here. And my original intent was on our consulting practice side to improve and utilize AI in the visioning and planning process, which required getting a lot of knowledge from the client, bringing it into our systems, running models for those firms of what they might look like under different scenarios into the future. And when I say future, I'm really talking about the near future, 3 years at the max, 5. And we got into that, and you'll see up on the left, it says the firm print dashboard. That was our first project here. And if you'll think what Francis has been doing with STS, building the planning part of that, I say most of that is in the think part. The plan part then is actually developing the plans at the company level or organization level, then at the individual or department level. And the third phase is the grow phase, which is where you develop your teams to actually execute, hold them accountable, and then the cycle would be back to the planning stage a year later. But there's got to be accountability and execution, or you just have a nice plan. Well, I found out in some of our internal meetings that operations and managing those 34 circles was our biggest problem. So I changed gears and I went focused on operations, and out of those 2 projects came a sub-project where some marketing synergy and materials where we could send out questions to to potential clients, they would answer those questions. It would send them back a PDF about free tools that they could use or how they might be involved in one of our communities. But today is going to be focused on the operations. And why is that important? I'm going to come down here to Metcalfe's Law, which happens to be one of the tools. And I'm going to open it up. And here you'll see that this just goes to 25 humans. But if I go to 22 humans, which we have can't shake here. There we go. If we have 22 humans and 15 agents, we cut down on the number of connections that people have to make. How can I say that? Because you see, Jason is our chief of staff. Those of you that are familiar with development probably understand why I named Jason Jason. But we were very concerned that we didn't want to have more connections because all of these meetings have multiple connections with firms and people within their firms. And we said we can't continue to hire people and have them struggle through our applications, which primarily were HubSpot, QuickBooks Online, Box.com, Cvent for conference management, and you can plug whatever applications you want, but most organizations, including our clients, have a lot of different databases where information is stored and you have to reconcile that. Our strategy was we need to clean up those databases in order to move forward and be able to utilize AI better. But in the process, we determined, nope, that's the wrong strategy. We need to implement the agents to help us clean up those databases and use the human orchestrator to really leverage our entire human and agentic workforce. So I think you get Metcalfe's law, but it really comes into play as we get back to the operations. So I'm going to go actually in the operations. And here, this is the firm print logo that we came up with. And at the top, you'll see the BCI team, the Agentic workforce, Colby Synergy, Circle operations that'll take you into, and even the economics of circles and how the Agentic workforce can help. But we're not going to get in a lot of details. I don't want to take you just through a click, click, click. I want to give you the overview and let you answer or ask questions. So our BCI team is composed of 23 members, 20 full-time employees, and 3 contractors. Our average Colby scores, and many of you probably aren't familiar with Colby, but I'd highly encourage you to go look up Colby Corporation. It's spelled Kolbe. And if you know your own Colby score, then you can build teams around you that are synergistic. And we have used this for several years internally with our human workforce. So I said, well, why don't we try to use that with the agentic workforce? And it's even more powerful with the agents because you can actually dial the agent to be synergistic with the human or with another agent. And you'll see more of that later. So just to give an idea, all of ours, this is the average score. If we come to the leadership team, the score changes. But if we add in agents, then our scores become much more synergistic. And by synergistic, you don't want over 25% of your team being in what we call resistive, quick start, follow through, fact finder, or implementer. And you don't want more than 25% to initiate in those. So mediators are very, very valuable. And our chief of staff that you'll see here in just a minute is a mediator that mediates between the agents and the humans, who we call orchestrator hues. So if you look at my particular Colby, it's a 6482. So I initiate with quick start. I don't have to have all the details, but I follow up with fact finder, so I just don't go jump. I have to find the facts to really help me go forward. Here are some of the certifications that I have, and here are the agents that I have been assigned, and I'll show you what they do in just a minute. So we've got Jason, who's the chief of staff. That one would be on everyone. And I'll show you Jim, who is our CEO. His Colby is similar to mine, but he's not as much quick start. He's more the mediator type. So he would have these. Now I'm going to go down to a brand new person that, whoops, I've got to go back to all. And I'm going to roll down to a brand new person that just came on staff. This is Sadie Pugh. She's within a month, and she's resistive quick start, but she has access to Jason, Cadence, and Blueprint, who you'll learn what they do in just a minute. And if you think of a job description for a human or a skill level for an agent, you have to set the skill levels for each of these agents, and then you have to uh, set the guidelines or the policy manual. We'd call that guardrails. So that's enough on our team members and the BCI team. I'm going to take you to the Agentic workforce. And here's Jason, the chief of staff. Here's Compass, our financial intelligence agent, and Ensemble. And I let it pick the names. In hindsight, I probably would have done some different naming, but I can change those at any time. But you see there, Colby has been set up as a default here, but then that Colby can be changed depending on the group they work with. So not to go too deep in this, but here's the chief of staff, and here's just a summary of their skill levels and experience. Then we go on down to, let's go to North, which is our strategic navigator, and you see the skill level, and I've summarized those here. So you see now the two tiers of the workforce, the agentic workforce and the human workforce. I'm going to stop right there because I've gone pretty fast, and some of you aren't familiar with Colby. What questions do you have to this point?
Well, one thing I'm gonna say first, I don't think Gary I've seen anyone but you so far that uses essentially personality profiles. Like Colby is a great one, but we all know there's the colors and there's all kinds of ways in which you can uh, look at the workforce and organize them into groups based on talents or preferences. And using that like human classification methodology to tweak the personalities of your AI agents, I think it's just a brilliant insight that you had. So congratulate you on that. Great.
Well, thank you. And let me comment on Colby because it's how people act. It does not measure intelligence. It measures your mode of operation. And you are born with that. And you seldom change. Mine changed one score. I became an 8 as a quick start rather than a 7 when I left being a partner in a CPA firm. When I answered it the first time, I was trying to accommodate what I thought my firm wanted rather than what I really was. So if you can find that out, then you can build these agents. Greg, you had a comment or question.
Yeah, great presentation. Thanks for sharing it. Really interesting. As far as the agents go, do they produce like a deliverable today that was previously, handcrafted, so to speak, by humans? And what sort of access to tools do they have to get to those deliverables, whether it's, computer usage, or other access to software or tools?
That's a great question and one we're working through right now with our security and our IT manager. And to build this, I used downloads of actual data from our circles and from HubSpot and from our HR package to get all these Colby scores because there's quite a little data in here. But uh, this afternoon, I have a meeting with Chris Rockford, who's our IT manager, and we're going to determine which applications, whether it's Box or HubSpot, to allow all these agents. Ultimately, they will have access, but there will be permissions as to what access they can have to the data, much like as a human. And we're working through that right now. But that is a great question. And anybody's got financial, and that's probably the last piece we will open up is the QuickBooks piece. But HubSpot's where all these documents are located, not HubSpot, Box. But
Mhm.
HubSpot has all the client information and relationship information. So the agents will actually be able to reconcile different names in different applications and recognize that they're all the same and actually fix the name in the various source. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, and I'd love to know if do you have in mind any other deliverables that they might be responsible for?
Well, they're going to deliver agenda, PowerPoint, um, any of the documents that we use, registrations at these circle meetings. That's the ultimate goal, is to automate as much of that as we can so the humans can really focus on the relationship with the client and listening to what the client is asking for.
Hmm. Thank you.
Sure. Rick, I think you were next.
Oh, thank you, Gary. Yeah, fascinating work. Two questions. One is, the psychometric properties of the Colby score can be useful from the point of view of profiling yourself, but the secondary benefit is the discussions you have with your colleagues about the differences with it. And sometimes that conversation is more valuable than the actual psychometric properties. The other question is, can you set up your agents to have different dispositions so that if a team is a little weak in one area, you could have an agent that would be more of a jump starter, for example, that might encourage a team to jumpstart things. And lastly, I mean, these are dispositional traits, and even though they have dispositional traits, doesn't mean to say you can't change. But if you have discussions, you might find that you could change, as you did when you left your firm. Over and out.
That's absolutely right. And that's what I'm building this afternoon is to show that with small teams. In other words, if I take John Hubbard and Sadie Pugh exactly and put them with an agent, how do I change that agent to be synergistic with their Colby scores? That's why this is so powerful. And I think it's kind of a moat on the agents, or at least I'm hoping it's a moat on the agents. Chris?
Yes, it goes in the same direction the freak was talking about. I mean, building agent with a personality, Colby, DISC, or so ever. The idea there is to see, as opposed to, hey, you are building an agent, you have this trait, this characteristic, you're very good at this, you're very good at that. Now you're giving them personalities. Is the idea is to look for different ideas, look for different viewpoint that you would not get otherwise, or work with regular human being with a traits or character that complement them. What's the logic behind that for you?
Well, the logic is that each one of these people contribute their own unique abilities to the organization. Right now, most of that intellectual knowledge is captured in Box or other locations of which is not recallable. we're actually building the knowledge base. So when someone comes in, they have the organization's knowledge. If you'll think of it as a second brain, it's great to have my second brain in there. But what if I have the second brain of 20 people and Jason hacks access to that? That's the ultimate goal here. So if someone leaves, you don't lose that institutional knowledge. It's the original theory of knowledge transfer for succession, and we really haven't had the tools to build that until now. And I've chosen Claude Cowork because there were some Rails on it, and I've written all of it, or this has all been written without me doing any programming, all in Vibe.
So the knowledge, yes, because that you capture it wonderfully. It creates a database. It frames a lot about the personality, wherever you've got the data, emails, whatever. But the personality itself, building agent with personalities.
Building agents with personalities.
Did you say that JSON, all that, as they have a Kobe assigned to them? That's an agent that you build. That's not a person.
This is an agent, yes. And they have a Colby assigned to them based upon the company's need. And I would say that anybody's building an agent, you would be wise to have a Colby like this, depending upon your Colby. But this is what we call a mediator. And that mediator then serves out all the work to these other agents. So I, as a person, even though I have multiple agents signed to me, I go through one chief of staff, just like you would if you were a human. And I'll quickly show you one other thing, and then I'll leave you with what I think is a real value tool here. I'm going to go into circle operations. And what you see is what we have connected now is what firms are in operation circle number one. We originally would have had to go to our HubSpot to find that out. But here I can ask that question and it provides all of the information through a query rather than having to go to HubSpot and produce a report. That will change your mindset about how to use LLMs versus the old way. And then to demo this to our leadership group, I said, what's the total revenue of our member firms? Because as we get sponsors, that's very important. They want to know how many head count, what the revenue is. And watch what it did. It says, with HubSpot and firms metrics connected, I can calculate this in real time. Here's what this would look like. And it's pending the connections. So once our leadership team saw that, they said, how soon can we get this in play? And so this is where people will go, is to ask Jason these type of questions rather than go to HubSpot or Box to get that information. Is that making sense?
Yep. Thank you.
Okay. Now I could go on into the economics and the other things. I think this is probably enough for today and that you can discuss, but I want to show you one tool that has come out of this. And in Strategic Coach, which I've been a member for 30 years, Dan Sullivan has what he calls the triple play. And the triple play is take any three words and determine how they can relate and how you could leverage those three words into intellectual property or adding value to your team or adding value to your clients. So I'm just going to show you a sample here. This morning I did the one, my one this morning was the AI working group, EXO, and Claude Cowork. Those were my three, and it produced the relationships, but it misunderstood that the AI working group, Claude thought it was internal. And I went back and corrected it, and it came up with a total different relationship. But I'll just show you how this works. I'm going to hit on These are two of our team members, Ariana Campbell, Chris Rockford, and Jason, the agent. And when I plant the seeds here, it shows the relationships, and this is generic. I'll give you time to just kind of read through this of how these people relate.
Can you enlarge it?
I will try there. Does that help?
It actually went smaller.
Oh, let me see here. I don't know how to do that.
You
So
can try control mouse wheel.
Control.
Mouse wheel.
That's not doing anything.
Dr. Thomas, I put the picture in the chat. Maybe you can enlarge the picture.
Okay. But my question here, but what if this tool knew your team? In other words, the tool doesn't really, in generic form, know the team. So I'm going to give you another response here. This is the response I get internally now that it knows the team. And it shows the through line of the future of the profession services isn't humans or agents, it's orchestrated teams where each member, human and AI, operates in their zone of genius. That's the generic response. The other through line is with actual information. The people closest to the work, Ariana, Chris, must validate what Jason can do before the organization trusts it. Monday's meeting and the upcoming validation exercise are not preparation for transformation. They are transformation because elevating human capabilities starts with the humans who carry it forward. So this becomes very, very personal and insightful and goes into our knowledge base on a daily basis. Now, what happened this morning is Ariana called me and she has the layout of all of the processes. She's a Lean Six Sigma trained as well as a ProScar um, Prosy change management person. She has that all laid out in a diagram and she wants me to feed it in and then she's going to correct it so we have all of our processes for the circles down. So this is an overview. It's pretty deep, but if we go back here, you can see we've got marketing, scorecards, and we've got in the consulting, we've got our engagement dashboard. So we built a lot here in a month. So change management probably is our biggest challenge going forward. And I just asked the group, if this was beneficial, if I went too deep, or if there's something you can take away or we can help you because building these MCPs is not as difficult as what I thought. And I even gave Francis a guideline sheet on how to do that because I'm here to help you guys any way that I can.
Yeah, so there's a on the STS board for Gary's presentation, one of the link is to an actual blueprint or instructions on how to build that kind of things. I think Brian had a question or a comment earlier.
I did, but it's my brain doesn't hold it that long. What I wanted to ask you, Gary, is if you were explaining this to your grandkids, how would you explain it to them? Really simply.
I would just say it's using the agentic workforce to leverage their unique abilities and provide them the resources today in a technology world.
So people like to touch and feel stuff. What would be your touch and feel example? So intellectually, I understand all of this, but can you give me a real example and say, wow, that changed the way we made a decision?
Uh, just having their Google Workspace account attached to Claude and being able to develop a PowerPoint presentation, being able to send an email out to that group of kids. Yesterday, I just told Claude to send an email and attach the PowerPoint presentation. It put it in my draft box. I approved it and sent it. That's pretty quick for the kids. And they also doing presentations or dropping research papers into Notebook LM. They got that right away. They're all doing it. And if you get one or two of the older ones doing it, they teach the younger ones how to do it. And that's the real reward. So you're absolutely right. That's how people learn is by doing it. I could show you here all day, but uh, I guess that one word of caution is you're going to get frustrated on the $20 a month pro version of Claude Cowork because it's going to time out on you and then you're going to have to wait 2 hours and lose your train of thought. So I'm on the max program, but our people have access to Claude Cowork now. And I don't know if we're going to keep Chat GPT or not. For now, they have access to both.
Actually, kind of a sideline, Gary. I find the timeout for Claude is actually a fantastic thing because it actually gets me to think again. So
Mhm.
when you go over your limits, you have to stop using it, and then you actually have to use your own brain again, which is an amazing thing.
Mhm. But I think probably anyone here could benefit from that with the automation of their email,
Yeah.
uh, and also the ability to take in podcasts. Uh, this is connected to Notebook LM now. So every week it pulls a brief of the major podcasts that I watch, and it gives me a brief of all of those, the highlights.
Gary,
You
do you
were
know how it's connected to Notebook LM? Because they don't have an API, so I'm curious how it's doing that. There's some like APIs that people have created out there that are on GitHub and stuff, but just curious how you're automating anything with Notebook LM.
Well, we did that through our MCP, a Google MCP. Google didn't have an MCP, so we
Mhm.
created it, and we're doing it that way. It goes out every week or it goes twice a week and looks at my updates to the notebooks that have moonshots and Matthew Berman's weekly AI and also the All In podcast. Those are three. There's others that I do, but it goes reads those every week and then
Yeah.
summarize them.
And is it like a headless browser maybe that it's using to actually go to Notebook LM and paste the link and get the output to bring it through your MCP?
Yeah, and it actually runs the question, how does this apply to CPA firm leadership? That's the one prompt that I do on every one, and it
Okay,
produces that summary then.
thank you.
It's kind of addictive because the more you get into this, the more potential you see uh, the capabilities. And I said, I've only been in this a month,
Mhm.
and the value I had is I knew our vision, I knew our processes for planning, and I knew some of the internal operations. But now that I have that map today, I'm going to go even further with those circle processes.
Are you using the paid version of Notebook LM? Have you tried that? If you're not.
Well, we have yes, because we have Google Workspace. Every everyone has a license to that, but I don't think I'm any higher level than that.
Well, there's one feature that it adds, which is you can create animated videos where it's not just like a slide deck, but an
Right.
actual animated video.
I must
Big,
have that. I have that version.
Yeah,
And
they're
I,
pretty
I
good.
did one of those to show the problem here with the Metcalfe's law, but I didn't use it today because I thought we had way too much content to absorb and I didn't want to go too deep in that.
Hmm. Cool.
Rick.
Rick,
Yeah, just to maybe echo what Brian was trying to get at, and what I took away from it is quicker, better, faster of how to get stuff done, um, but and how to do that collaboratively. I was also want to zooming out from what you're doing, but thinking about how it can be applied to other domains. So, for example, when Francis held his SJF hackathon, I focused on virtuous agents. Well, what would all the various virtuous agents be that could collaborate together, say, to work on Harry's wicked problem about developing sustainability practices in a data center, for example. So I think I just think this is a brave new frontier where you can get sucked in, and it's just incredible what you can do. And I'm still on the beginning of my learning curve. So I just want to applaud you, Gary, for showing us your way. Thank you.
well, thank you for taking the time to listen because the feedback is very much appreciated. David, you're far more technical and built a lot more stuff than I have. I'll be interested.
Yeah, this looks really cool. Yeah, and it's interesting to see what you've built and how I guess like similar it is to the systems that I've been building for different people. And
Oh,
yeah, it's like
you're in a law firm, just change the name. The problems are the same and the personalities and the people. There are a lot of fact finder follow-throughs in law firms.
yeah, it's really cool. I'm just intrigued on how it can change the way that teams operate and think because you're essentially like you're just like manipulating bits and bytes, and then it's turning into like this dashboard with all these different things that you can go into, and it can look however you want it to look, and do different things. And then you shared like a bunch of different tools that you built out to help with the thinking of your thinking and your team's thinking. So, um, yeah, I don't really have a question, but I just wanted to share my reaction to what you've shared. I think it's really cool.
David, on the Colby, when you get your Colby analysis, if you take it online, it gives you how the Colby works. That's all we fed into this is training. It's just that whole process. Now we have 4 people that are certified in Colby, so I don't mind talking about it because we have people that are really capable. But I've used Colby for 15 years, so I feel like I'm fairly knowledgeable. Colby is very interested in what we're doing with the agents because they see that the number one step is you have to know yourself before you can build your team.
Okay, I thought of a question. So, Gary, as you were building this out, like how much input are you giving? Did you work on this all by yourself, by the way? And then how much input are you giving into like the actual UI and user experience that it's building? Like, how is it deciding that it should be dashboard, new engagement, pricing matrix, OKR builder, et cetera? Or like how are you telling it those things, or how is it
Yes,
figuring that out?
I'm doing the prompting, and this dashboard is for internal use uh, because while these are not real clients, we would never show the entry level dashboard. I'm at one level deep in here, I think. So, whoops. I would be, I need to go back to the original dashboard that had the operations um, and the marketing and the firm print consulting and all the tools. That's our dashboard. And I've kind of prompted it to develop it in that way.
Cool. That makes sense. It's an
Eh,
interesting evolution of information technology.
Yeah, and you can put your corporate brand in. We have a branding guideline that was developed by marketing, and I just dropped that Word document in, and now it uses the colors and our logos, etc.
And
So,
Gary,
Francis,
yep. I
go
was just
ahead.
about I was just about to ask you. So you talked about connecting this to like other systems like QuickBook, but in terms of adoption, what are within your firm, like what are the next steps? What do you foresee as the either the challenges or the opportunities? Like how like walk us through what's the next 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months are going to look like at BCI.
The next step is the plumbing to connect all the pipes and do it in a manner that is secure and safe. So our plan this week is to take 4 or 5 clients and a couple of circles and connect them to our live box account. And I've already proven it with my personal box account in that I used my personal email and my personal box account, went through that, and it had like 30 gigs of data. It sorted all those. It did the naming conventions. It suggested ways to reorganize. I approved that. And then now when I file, all I have to do is go to my ScanSnap scanner, scan a document in or drop it from email into what we call the input folder. Every morning at 8 o'clock, it reads those files, makes sure it's the naming convention, and then it takes it through recursive learning to the same folder and files it. If it doesn't know, it asks a question as to what folder, and then it learns from there. So that's been the test case to know that Box actually hooks to this, is safe and secure. And
And
it here's the beauty, Francis. It doesn't matter whether you use any of the document managed SharePoint, any of those. Some would be easier. You don't have to switch applications. This just sets on top, and this is the executive operating system, if you will, for those systems. So we're not asking any of our people to switch systems. We're just asking them to use agents to help them do their job.
And it actually changes the file names and move the files to the correct folders and then take some like actions based on that.
I would say yes, but I don't want to oversell it. Uh, it takes training and it's a recursive learning. So don't expect it just out of the box to understand. That's part of the skills and the guidelines that you have to give those agents that are responsible for filing. And from a uh, organizational standpoint, every Friday, then we have another agent look at all the items that were filed and make sure that the naming conventions and everything was followed. So that's really segregation of duties. Accountants understand that from internal controls. But if you build that into the agentic workforce as well as humans, I believe you've got a much stronger and secure environment.
And just to be clear, maybe for the rest of the group also, when you say it's a recursive learning, essentially every time it goes through that process, it updates its prompt or its instructions.
Well, let me give an example. I scanned a water bill for our lake house and it didn't know where to file that. So I said it needs to be filed in X5, which is the address of that property. Now, every time I drop it in there at 8 o'clock in the morning, it goes files that in that particular property. In the same way with a utility bill here for our condo, it asks the first time and then after that it knows. So that's what I mean by recursive learning.
Thank you. Rick?
Yeah, very quick, Gary. Do you feel comfortable sharing this recording with outside the group, or do you want to keep it within the group?
No, I'm comfortable. There's
Okay.
nothing
No,
for
I just wanted to make sure, that's all, because I'd
Well, I
like to
appreciate
I-
you asking,
yeah.
but we're here to learn, and hopefully it's
Yeah, that's
been beneficial.
Yep, thank you very much. I want to share it with my daughter, and I'll tell you later the reasons why.
Okay.
Now I'm curious. All right. So we have 10 minutes left. How would you all like to use those 10 minutes? So we can talk about more about you ask more questions or talk more with Gary, or we can discuss about like first off, like do you like this type of format, this type of content? And what else can we do to increase the reach and the usefulness of this group for everyone? I know I asked 5 different questions in one sentence, so so show of hand first, like who really liked that presentation from Gary? All right, good job, Gary. Thank you very much. Shabnam,
You're welcome.
you have
I actually have a question for Gary.
yes.
So, Gary, did you create all these agents with Claude Cowork, or did you have someone? How tech savvy are you? Because I'm not.
You're as tech savvy as I was going into this. So
Okay.
it will make suggestions based on what your work is and what you're trying to do as to what the agents. As an individual, you probably don't need 15 agents. I needed 2. So I have Parker, and I can't even tell you the name of the other one, but Parker is the one that does the filing on my personal account.
Friendly
And then
neighborhood.
the second one is an agent that checks their work later in the week.
Oh, wow.
So
Thank
so
you.
so
This is awesome.
don't try to make this harder than it really is. Claude Cowork will help you. When you put your description into Claude Cowork, tell it as much about yourself, what you do, what you believe in, and what you're responsible for. That will really help build the skills.
Thank you. I did try something for getting updates on research in my field, and it did a really good job to the point that I'm like overwhelmed with all the information now.
Well, you can tell it to be brief and you can tell it the length of the response. And by the way,
Okay,
the
thank
longer
you.
the response, the more tokens it takes.
Yeah, I realized that quite early because I have the $20 one.
Well, our
Thank you very
grandkids
much.
had the $20 ones too, and uh, it's a good learning lesson to how to be more efficient.
Yeah.
So
Thank
the
you
But
guy
very much,
asked.
Gary. This was awesome.
So Gary, are you telling me that your grandkids are now asking for allowances in tokens instead of quarters for the arcades?
Well, I can tell you they asked their dad to be able to turn on co-work instead of chat GPT after a couple of weeks ago. And he turned it on for him, which I was proud of because they're using it.
A
Great.
quick interjection there. Sorry, Rick. Just want to get that because it's online. You can use other LLMs to
Yes.
plan your steps before you use your token usage on co-work or yeah. So just a thought out there.
And the way we build it is like Lego blocks. So we could switch out any of the applications that we use. We can switch out the LLM. I probably wouldn't switch it out today. I'd add to it. So it's pulling in other LLMs.
Yeah, Gary, I just want to perhaps suggest when you can have a conversation with Cobra that they have a fifth dimension on their scale that has to do with your IT disposition. Because some people don't have favorable dispositions towards IT, and how can you have an agentic agent to help people overcome their resistance to using AI? So, food for thought.
Change management, and we have two people, and I'm going to turn that over to them and their agents to answer that question. That's why we sent them to process training to get certified, because I'm telling you, change management is a lot more important than the technology is here, or a lot more
Exactly.
challenging than the
Exactly.
technology.
Yeah, it's the human resistance factors and antibodies that you have to be able to mediate against. I agree.
You have to have project management, process management, and change management. We call that the transformation triangle in order to make this work. Mark?
Hi, yes. It's kind of a naive question here, but I struggled a bit at the beginning of this because, as Simon Sinek would say, it all starts with the why. So, can you give me, and maybe it will be a good idea before you present this to others as well, to see what are the three areas that explain why you're doing this?
To avoid burnout of our employees who are managing all of these relationships was number one. To automate the processes to give a better client experience and a better experience to the employee, which ties to number one. And number three is exploration and experimentation to try to be on the cutting edge moving forward, because we know that just hiring more employees is not a good business model or good business practice going forward. And the other thing is, we didn't want this to be threatening. We wanted this to carry the message as, here's what AI can do for you, rather than here's what AI is going to do to you. Does that answer?
The last point, which I think was the fourth one, is more what I would be looking for. I really want to get to grips with what the problem is that you're solving from a business point of view. And you've said some of those things, because when you're dealing with executives, you need to inspire them as to what difference it can make to their business. But jumping straight into it was a struggle for me because I wasn't inspired by the why because I didn't really get the why. And maybe it's just me, but I'm trying to give a
No, I think
non-technical
that's a
perspective.
legitimate concern. And I originally had that video that was the why of all the relationships, and it told the summary of the company. It was like 3 to 4 minutes, but I decided not to run that. I probably should have, but
That would have been
that's a
great.
very good
It was
feedback.
very interesting, so thank you.
Yeah, Gary, if I could just tune into the third point, and I don't know whether this resonates with you, but it's also about flourishing at work and reducing presentism, because a lot of people just show up to work and they just do whatever they need to do. If you can give them something they get excited about work and they're flourishing workers, then that can have a cascade of effects in the organization. So I don't know whether that spin resonates with you or not, but that's what I was taking from your third point.
Our HR people would say that is engagement, and it's using their unique abilities rather than having to do all this administrative work.
Exactly. Well, engagement is a process, flourishing is an output. So it's just a question of framing.
Okay.
All right. So, Daryl, I'm not sure if you had a questions or if it was just a comment, or care to expand a bit on that? That you typed a suggestion. I'm not sure what the suggestion is.
So yeah, that was on. So Gary showed us. I love what he showed us. Is I look at that's the result of the process that he went through. So more the document that's in STS shows the steps. Like, here's a goal to create an MCP for this, and I use these tools. Kind of like a general, and then here's the result I got, and then demo the result, just to give it more maybe context, and also be more of a teaching presentation of how to go about it. But I mean, you have it; it's in there. I just was wondering if that might be a suggestion going forward. Is if I just show you a tool and say, here's what I was set out to do, what you said, and then kind of have like a sheet that outlined, here's the steps I took, so it gives and then here's the result I got. I love seeing what the result was because I understand the steps. I thought maybe to help folks, grasp the steps you took to get to the result beforehand. So it's
And
just kind of reverse order. Yeah.
And there's a slide presentation, the agentic architecture that Francis, I sent him pre this. Some we talked about, one's how to build what the Lego blocks are. But this is all good feedback and I'll get to use it fairly quickly, I'm sure, internally, if not externally.
And so I'm showing, I don't know if you're seeing my screen now, but I'm essentially showing the board from this meeting, which I'll share again on the chat. But here, if you click on that image, you'll get the presentation, the PowerPoint presentation. This is Gary, and you get access to his LinkedIn profile. This is the Lego block architecture at a glance. And here they're building a custom MCP. That's the step-by-step instructions that Gary has created. So you can just click that image or that trombone here, paperclip here, and you get access to all this excellent content. All right, so we're at the top of the hour. So thank you, everyone. One parting word from our sage, Rick.
Yeah, just very briefly, Daryl, you made a great point, and Gary, if you're up to it, if there's a breakout room next week specifically on the dimension that Daryl was speaking about, this is where having follow-up from unanswered questions from one session to the following week.
Yep.
That's all.
Good idea.
And I'll send that next gen PowerPoint from this week to you, Francis, here in just a few minutes.
Perfect. All right. Thank you very much, Gary. Thank you all for attending.
You're welcome.
Yes. Thank you, Gary.
See you all next
Bye.
week. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Gary.
Gary, thank you, everyone.
All right. I'm closing the
Goodbye.
the
Thank
Zoom now.
you,
Bye-bye.
Francis.